Hi, this is Athena Jezik, and this is the first in our series on creating a new paradigm for existence in many areas. What we'd like to look at today is begin to examine and dissect what healthcare is and isn't, and maybe should be or shouldn't be, and that is the topic that we're going to discuss today. My ideas for healthcare are probably a lot more radical than a lot of you out there because I've been working in the alternative field for over 23 years. So I've seen a lot on both sides of the fence. One of my biggest concerns is that the healthcare industry has become an industry that is more concerned about bottom line. In order to have a good bottom line, part of that drive in the industry is to not have threatening competition or competition that's going to take away. Looking back in the history of all of this, when some of this began to happen and alternative medicine and methods were beginning to be legislated out and kind of economically hit with different laws and regulations, was because of the competition, because people would prefer and did prefer taking care of themselves more naturally, and they weren't originally buying into a lot of the chemical medications. Those were considered snake oil. And somehow along the way, there was this mind bend that have us thinking that the alternative measures for healthcare are the snake oil, and the status quo is the only way to go that's going to treat disease. When if we really look at this objectively and neutrally, and we look at what's happening, you find that a lot of people who practice the alternative measures are much healthier than those who continually go back for more treatments of chemicals. Not that there's not a place for that. It's just in the way that this has become a one-size-fits-all and run by a bunch of people who want to profit off of this rather than looking at the care and concern of the individual. So that's a big piece right there to begin to look at. And I think that if we examined it and have questions about it and really discuss this in a dialogue, that we would all come to very closely the same conclusions. They might vary a little bit, but primarily they would be the same conclusions. So having a healthcare system right now that's going on is the competition is great and the need for greed is increasing. It's like a sickness. It grabs people and they just need more and more. So we're getting the healthcare bill, we're getting the Food Safety Act, we're getting Codex Alimentarius, we're getting all of these regulatory things that are going to force us into genetically modified foods, vaccines, whether we want them or not, chemical medications, which will be the only thing, having to eat even food that we aren't going to want to eat because it's not going to have the nutrient value to keep us healthy. So to look at the other side of the alternative stuff, what that entails is becoming aware and responsible for what we're eating. That not that we can't pig out at times, because I do that too, but for the most part, what we're eating on a regular basis, how we're treating our health issues, how we're dealing with sniffles and small things and symptoms that show up, if we're taking more radical turns or if we're allowing the body to just work through that, and different effects like that we are going to have to examine. We're going to have to become more responsible and less like children, not wanting to be taken care of, but taking the care into our own hands, because that's the only way we're going to remain healthy. If we put our care into somebody else's hands and they get bitten by the greed bug, they're only going to be concerned with using you for their revenue increase. And that is a hard reality that's happening right now out there. If it weren't happening, they wouldn't be caring if we went to another type of method for treatment. They wouldn't care if we grew gardens. They wouldn't care if we drank raw milk. They wouldn't care about these things because they wouldn't have the greed bug biting them and them wanting to make all the profit. What's happening now is we're being restricted from things that feel good for us, that help us to have health. We're being compromised because we have a group of people that want to profit from the suffering that they're largely placing on society. And I want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not going to be badgering one side or the other because I'm not wanting this to be a divide. I think there's a place for Western medicine, and there's a place for alternative medicine. There's a place for everything. What I really want us all to begin to see is that if we live in a country or in a world where we want to see humanity self-realized, we have to get rid of the forcefulness and the mandates and the things that don't allow us to have choices. Having choices means that we have to be responsible for what we're choosing, and it's also important to make very informed decisions or choices. Because if we are uninformed about something, we cannot make solid choices. When we are not allowed to even talk about talk about the alternative medicine in a Western model, there's something that's not right about that, because we should be educated to be able to look at it all and make the appropriate choices for what our bodies are. We need to be connected with our bodies to understand what it is it needs. It's really not that big of a deal to take care of the body when we have the information and we understand the miracle of healing and how the body wants to continually move in that direction. But if we're going to be mandated to eat and consume things that are going to be damaging to our DNA, damaging to the structure of our brain, damaging to the way we can even think about things, then there's a problem there. We are no longer free if that's going to be happening. So I just want to say that the choice is important. We want to find a place for everything to fit, and we want you, the consumer, to know exactly what it is you need so you can find your way back to the perfect health and the vitality that is there for every one of us. So this first series that we've done is, the first one of the series that we've done is primarily focusing on the importance of choice. People need to have choices. People need to be educated to understanding the choices that they have. A lot of the things that are going to be said here are going to be tremendously controversial. There's going to be a lot of that going on. One of the things that I do ask that you look at is that when it is your opinion of something, it is just your opinion. And everybody has an opinion to something, and that's perfectly fine. But if you can move past the opinion and not let the opinion stop you from hearing things further, that would be a really major step to take in freeing yourself up and finding maybe other possibilities that you haven't seen before. So that is, I forgot where I was going. So with all the opinions that we might have, that is good and you should do that. But I ask that you move yourself into reasoning. Look at the other side. Listen to the other side. Formulate the other side. Use the God-given abilities of reason and thinking and thought, and be critical about the thinking and be objective about the thinking. Because where we've fallen into the trap is that we've allowed so much of somebody else's opinion, somebody else's ways to be forced onto us, and we're not turning our brains on to finding out what is really good for all of us, or individually good for us. So that's one of the things that I'm going to challenge you on during these series, is to begin to think very critically about what's happening. Choice is utmost important. I'm an advocate of all choice. The way that I run my practice is I teach people what it is that's happening in their body. I lay out the different choices that they can take. If they have questions about what they're about, I explain to the best of my ability what that is, and I never say to them, I recommend them to do anything, or I even suggest. I just want them to choose for themselves. And inevitably, 99% of the time, people think it through, and they come up with the exact perfect choice that they need to do and they need to follow. And I, as a therapist, will honor that because I know that the direction that they choose to take is the one that's going to be the most empowering for them. So with the opinions that we all have, that's a good thing to have opinions. And you can stay convicted with your opinion and stand very firm in that opinion if you like. The thing that's really, really, really important here is to understand, though, that that opinion is your opinion and that's the choice that you want to make. So to extend to others the grace and the dignity of giving them the choices also to make without criticism or without telling them that they should do things a different way. Just let go of the control of that. Control your own choices, control your own decisions, control your own opinions, control all of that, but don't throw that on somebody else. That's how we can come into conversation, that's how we can begin to listen to each other, and that's how we can begin to move things in a direction that's going to benefit all of us. Because there is no one size fits all. Everybody's body functions different. Everybody responds differently to different things. And we're all given a path in life to take. So if we just formulate them, share with others what our opinions may be, and then just let it go. And the people that are hearing that will pick up what they need. They'll take with them and run with them some of the things that might be said, and they may drop the rest. And all of that is perfect for who they are. So let's please stay focused on choice, the importance of choice, and the importance of allowance for somebody else to have the choices that they need for betterment of their own situation. So thank you so much for your time, for your listening, for your contemplation in this. Please rate this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And please comment so that I can read your comments and get back on the channel with some of the answers. Thank you so much. This is Athena Jezik from Austin, Texas.
If you liked this video, we have hundreds of more alternative videos ranging from sexual health to psychology to mind control. So if you liked it, go ahead and click on me to enter the Psychetruth channel.